I'm Brad Gregory. I'm the cheesemaker at Black Sheep Creamery here in Chehalis. We have around 100 animals right now. We're milking 68 this year, similar number next year. That seems to be a good size for us. Our middle son, when he was born, was allergic to cow milk. In our search for alternatives, sorry to say we didn't like goat milk. Soy milk, rice milk didn't do enough for him, so we got a couple of sheep, bred them to have milk for him, and then bred them again and again and again, and then had to do something with all the milk that he was no longer able to drink.
We've lived here 17 years. We moved here when our oldest was 6 months old. The gentleman that sold it to us was 92 at that time and had lived here all but 2 years of his life and wanted it to be farmed. We hope to honor him by continuing on. We've grown row crops, we've done grass seed, hay, barley, wheat. The cheese business kind of evolved with Andrew having the allergy and gaining the sheep. That was right when the artisan cheese movement was coming up, and we could jump on the bandwagon. We needed a niche product because it's a small enough farm. We couldn't compete with the big guys on a lot of stuff, the equipment and everything that it takes to do that, but we can make our own hay, we can pasture animals, and Brad learned to make some very good cheese, so it's been kind of a fun evolution of how the farm has grown.
Our first hard cheese recipe was completely random that we found on the internet, but then we've researched Basque cheeses and Italian cheeses that were specifically for sheep and kind of developed our own recipes from those. So we've kind of learned through a long process how to make our own.
Black Sheep Creamery was originally supposed to be the Chehalis River Sheep Dairy, and we had a logo made and everything, and it just didn't seem right. We had a black ram that we were using extensively then, old Hershey. We decided, well, what about the Black Sheep Creamery? Because we were the first solely all sheep dairy licensed in the state of Washington. So we became the Black Sheep Creamery just because it was the oddball. It's a new thing. So now there's more than one all sheep dairy in the state, which is a good thing too.
Even here in Lewis County, we have, what do we have, 5, 6 cheesemakers just in the county, and the state is up in the middle 40s now, I think, and growing every time I read the news. There seems to be no end in the demand for local cheeses, along with other produce and farmers' products. Just shows a good future for our industry here, and I'm sure around the country.
In December of 2007, our farm was inundated with the Chehalis River deciding to work its way across our field and through our house and our barn and take with it several items. We lost 75% of our flock. We almost lost our cheese cave. It was floating on down. It almost ended up in the next house down the river. But it got hung up on Brad's new fence, which was very good. We had water in our barn, our house, and our cheese room had 54 inches in it. Luckily, it spared the electronics. There's little silver linings to the whole thing. The thing we remember from it is the blessing of having probably over 500 volunteers come through the farm that following winter to summer to fall. The blessing of having people help, the humility of accepting that was a big lesson for both of us. And the fact that, anytime any disaster happens, knowing how little it takes to help out a neighbor. It's a matter of a $5 check. It's a matter of, hey, I've got 2 hours on my hands. What can I do for you? It's a matter of a little kid bringing a teddy bear to one of my children. There was those sweet little things, and it was always the day I was about ready to lose it. Then we'd get this knock at the door, and hey, I have this for you, or what can I do? And so anytime anybody's ever done that for somebody else, they can consider themselves thanked.
10 years, I hope we have a second full-time cheesemaker. Started at this late in life, but hope to have finally learned something about cheesemaking by then. So I don't see myself getting tired of it. And so there's a lot to learn, a lot more cheeses to try. And so hope to be just keeping at it. Farmers tend to be independent people and like their privacy. Cheese making is a people business, and selling it is a people business. So it was scary to us to start looking at people and asking them if they wanted to try cheese and going into cheese shops and stores and farmers markets. But we found that one of the joys of this is, of course, you get to talk all about yourself and people stand and listen. And so we get to tell our story, and people have appreciated the flavors of our cheese, so it's become a real fun thing to especially get repeat customers. And
it's crazy busy,
people
and the
seeking
kids
us out at
have
farmers
to
markets.
pitch in and help. And they do, whether sometimes they like to or not, they do. But they love being here. They love swimming in the river. They love playing in the barn. There's just the benefits they gain from being on an old farm and having the space to do what they like to do. You know, anybody that's ever helped anybody in a disaster helped us, because then it just goes on and on and on. I mean, that's the thing, and that's the thing that I like people to know, is that it's huge. You don't think you're doing much, but it's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are great.